Oh, come on, guys. I'm not a bad guy. I'm not a good guy. I'm the Ranma one-half character profile guy.
Have gone on our share of fun little romps, you and I. It all started back in the year 2009, and for 7 straight years I found myself practicing the ways of martial arts tea. I was possessed by a rare VHS demon. I learned the valuable lesson that Scribble Panda is go. I took a 5,000-year-old Amazon's best punch. I froze my ass off sitting on a snowy log reading someone's lost diary. I waxed poetic about Hiroshi and Daisuke. Was that their names? Yeah, I think I got it right. I called an AFC dream fight with the mightiest of chinchillas. I got to bear witness to a declaration of motherhood. I got to freeze my ass off in a blizzard while Ball-Peen Jackamina sat inside and drank cocoa. I got my wallet raped by the best in the business. I was spirited in and out the ether. I hid in a panic room from bloodthirsty old ladies. I argued with a child psychiatrist on the morning gaggle. I was crushed by a giant takoyaki. A phantom gave me a bionic nookie. I pleaded with a stickbird over the phone. I danced with a living pile of clothes. I took the ultimate Rorschach test. I took a beam to the face like it came from a shotgun. I was tormented by an earless man in black, and thank you guys so much for not making that into a racial thing. I did a profile on a morphine drip. I defeated all 8 robot masters. I crossed dimensions into an anime world. I settled a blood feud in the forest. I had my home implode out from under me. I profiled until there was no profile left in my breath. But I can say the word I until I'm blue in the face. Truth is, I'm not the reason why most of you are here, and I'm comfortable with that. I'm just the lowly town crier, a messenger, shouting to the masses. You want to hear his story, not mine. You're here to see her, and him, her, him, her, whatever. And him? Him, really? Yes, I suppose even him. These guys were my crutch to lean on. No matter how big or small, no matter what corner of the Ranma universe they crawled around in, they were important in gelling those creative juices and keeping this channel active. So here, I present to you this standalone version of my personal top 20 Ranma one-half characters from the DJClyve Show. All characters will be represented, including bit characters and manga-exclusive characters. This video will feature numbers 20 through 10, with no music videos, no interruptions, and hopefully no excuses for YouTube to pull this video in select countries. Thanks a lot for sucking the fun out of this YouTube. So, pull up a nice comfy chair, sit back and relax. Maybe you can get Kasumi to relieve that nasty knot in your back. And here we start off with number 20!
Number 20 was tough. There were a few worthy contenders, but I decided to go with good ol' Iguma Torajiro. I know the decision to put he, a bit character, an anime-made character, into the top 10 over so many major players is bound to rub a few people the wrong way. Iguma was here for a cup of coffee and gone, but was he not written like a main character? The Howard Hessman of the Ranma one-half universe, this character gave an extra dimension to an underdeveloped aspect of Ranma's on-screen life, that of his scholastic upbringing. While Principal Kuno brought chaos, Iguma brought a weird sort of balance. I've talked about this guy to the point where I'm blue in the face, but I must reiterate, there is no character, in anime or otherwise, like Iguma Torajiro. You can't call him a hero or a villain. He spreads a positive message for we to enjoy our youth to the fullest, but he does it so ham-handedly, he comes off as a total goober. He is a great teacher, one who demands respect, but he is so invasive of his students' lives, causing one awkward moment after another, and he does it all with a cocky smile and a superhero pose. Man, you just want to punch Iguma Torajiro, but in the best of ways. Plus, he's a great foil to Principal Kuno, a lot better than Toramasa Kobayakawa at least. If I were to say I had any gripe with this character, it's that the animators couldn't settle on a look for him. Look at all the different faces, come on. But maybe that's all indicative to the many directions this character could have gone, had he just a little more time. Iguma Torajiro is my personal number 20. Here's one last look. A popular theme in Ranma 1/2 is the concept of duality. A good 90% of the characters wrestle with it in some shape or form. Sure, there are the obvious cases like the victims of the Valley of Cursed Springs who literally have alternate forms and turn into ducks and pigs and what have you. Then there are other characters, non-cursed characters, who explore the concept more out the box. Here I specifically reference the cross-dressers of Ranma 1/2. They're built and wired like men, but look and act like mega convincing women. Here we have Tsubasa Kurenai, a popular transmog vestite of the Ranma 1/2 anime. And here we have Konatsu Kunoichi, the standout gender bender of the Ranma 1/2 manga. I'm telling you right now, only one of they made it into the top 20. Which one of these ladies, I mean guys, is worthy of the coveted number 19 spot? Tsubasa is gruff and takes no prisoners, treating Ranma like his bitch. Konatsu is meek and demure and is essentially everyone's bitch. Tsubasa seems to strut his lacy threads out of sheer comfort or obliviousness, whilst Konatsu is truly gender confused after being raised as a girl his entire young life. Tsubasa stalks her prey wearing silly, unlikely disguises, and Konatsu stalks her prey with the stealth of the ninja. How to choose? Well, if you ask me, the choice is obvious. Sorry, Tsubasa, but Konatsu Kunoichi is the much better character. Konatsu has an entire backstory which could very well be its own private anime, and all the ideas mesh in perfect harmony. A downtrodden, cross-dressing young man, Konatsu's plight bounces off the black and white panel and tickles the imagination. He is the quintessential conflicted character, as he has sworn allegiance to a truly contemptible family and ordered to kill a man who, in all honesty, he finds kinda nice. He has been beaten to such a fine pulp, he can't help but agree to everything his family tells him to do, but he sees there's a better life for him should he just take that first step off the beaten path. His sexuality, crazy enough, is not a conflict at all. Raised as a female in a strip club atmosphere, somehow he still retained his heterosexuality and has fallen in love with Ukyo Kuonji. But, timid as he is too scared to take that first step and confront his wannabe love. Silly as it may sound, there's a lot to relate with here. This may seem like a lot of different problems colliding into a complicated mess, but is not life a complicated mess of problems? Does it not seem easier and less stressful to toe the party line and not create friction? Yeah, they get a little crazy with Konatsu's weakness, even poke fun at it repeatedly. But in my mind, given his upbringing, given the endless barrage of questions being hurtled into his life at rapid fire, it is understandable for he to be weak. It is Konatsu's weakness that actually makes him, a stronger character than Tsubasa Kurenai. Tsubasa is mindless confusion and rage. When you peel back the layers of his personality and take away the cross-dressing, what are we left with? He dresses up as garbage pails and mailboxes. While I've touted this as a positive in the past, I don't know, I may have flip-flopped on it. To me, it seems way more randomness than it is creativity. To me, as much as I do enjoy Tsubasa, he is little more than a sight gag and an M. Night Shyamalan twist, and it is Konatsu who would have been better served in the anime. Who knows? Had he been given full motion treatment, he may have lasted more than 2 episodes. Call her the Countess in Crimson. Call he the Stud in Sanguine. He is number 19, Konatsu Kunoichi. When we were first introduced to Ranma and his father, I think you as well as I had a certain question pop up in your head. But that question would not be answered. Oh, no. That question would not even be addressed for 7 entire seasons! Eventually, Ranma 1/2 had to go there. They had to answer the question on everyone's lips. Where is Ranma's mother? She was revealed at the very end of the last season of Ranma 1/2, stepping into the limelight for the first time. Nodoka Saotome. Nodoka is far removed from the useless maternal figures of other animated series. She is a character with true pathos, and surprisingly, the series does a bang-up job explaining why she stayed out of the picture until now. The wife of a warrior, she must abide by the warrior code. She bore witness to a contract signing stating that she could not meddle in her son's training for as long as it takes, and the day she sees him again will be the day he has finally become a man. If Genma were to fail to transform his son to the very meaning of a man, they would have to commit ritual suicide. And the honor-bound Nodoka must make sure it goes down without a hitch, even if that means finishing them off herself. To many fans of the show, this makes Nodoka a heartless character, that she would agree to participate in this heinous act to the point where she flaunts this death stick everywhere she goes. I disagree, for you can see it in her eyes, the weight of that sword, the burden she has to bear. She does it not out of heartlessness, but devotion to her husband and the future of her son. To endure a life of solitude, to wait at home for the prodigal son to return. Her whole life is a noble sacrifice, the kind of love that can only exist betwixt a mother and son. On top of that, all the characters in the Ranmaverse have what I like to refer to as Ranma-isms, weird quirks that can be utilized for story purposes or for just plain mayhem. It had been a while since we'd seen a real good Ranma-ism, and when fair Nodoka walked through the door for the first time, she may have brought to the table one of the best. Our heroes must travel incognito around Nodoka, for if she sees them, they will die. And of course, whereas in all other instances Ranma would be stranded in female form scraping to find some hot water, suddenly there's hot water all over the place, and Ranma is constantly getting doused and scrambling not to make eye contact. When Nodoka shows up at the Tendo domicile, guaranteed things are about to go topsy-turvy. Madcap slapstick humor is sure to occur, but at the same time, there is a deep, emotional turmoil of a mother and son. Although they see each other, they can't really see each other. Where the hell else are you going to find such a conflict? A mother's love is impossible to deny, and it is impossible to deny Nodoka Saotome, slicing through the top 20 at a very deserving number 18.
She is evil! Evil!
Evil! A character with no goodness whatsoever! She is Tatewaki Kuno's twisted sister, Kodachi Kuno. I would imagine a lot of Ranma 1/2 fans would not want anything to do with this character. She'd be far removed from any best list, because she's so annoying. That cackle of hers peels the paint off my walls. She is just so vile. The way she borderline rapes Ranma Saotome is disgusting. There's nothing to relate with here. She is just pure, unadulterated dementia. You hate her. You absolutely positively hate her. And that's exactly what you're supposed to do. Because she is so unscrupulous, so without remorse, she is one of Ranma Saotome's greatest nemeses. And the fact she is so irritating only adds to that warm, fuzzy feeling you get when somebody takes her ass down. This might upset some fans, but I love to hate Kodachi, and she deserved to be featured way more in the anime. And forget the Kodachi of the later seasons that had that awful new voice. Give me that season 1 Kodachi, the one with that egotistical flair and that gloriously grating laugh. A good anime needs a big bad guy, or gal. A greater power which must be overcome, a force that cannot be reasoned with, a foe who is just so swamped with foe-ness. Walking, breathing evil. Of all the characters in Ranma 1/2, I can only think of one who fits the bill, and that's Kodachi Kuno, a character worthy of one last look. Now here is a rare case. I have prophesized how disenchanted I was when Ranma 1/2 the series turned from a soap opera to a cartoon. And that switch incidentally came with the introduction of number 16 on the list, Cologne. When I first saw this goofy looking thing, I was all like, no, you are not welcome here. Imps and trolls have no business in this anime. But as I got to know Sasuke, and Hapasai, and the Frog Hermit, and Changensai, I learned to live with it, and gained a little respect for Cologne in the process. Her relationship with Shampoo is typical stuff. The two co-conspiring to snag Ranma in their clutches, nothing special there. Her relationship with Ranma, aha, that's where the intrigue is. I'd say she's like Yoda, as she teaches Ranma key moves to make he stronger. But could you picture a Yoda with malicious intentions? Now that's a radical thought. Cologne puts Ranma into life or death situations to prove his worth. Cologne punishes Ranma for failure in devious ways. Cologne would even defect to the side of Ryoga in an attempt to break Ranma's marital ties. Cologne is cunning and evil in her training. She even seems to catch some jollies out of it. She's an invaluable ally to Ranma, much in the vein of Paposai. But unlike stupid old Happy, who will not be appearing on this list by the way, she never defects to the dark side without a clear-cut motive. Cologne is not a villain. She dreams of a happy ending for Shampoo, Ranma, and everybody. It's the fact that this dream is not shared by everyone else that makes her the heel. Yeah, she made a bad first impression, but Cologne grew on me like 400-year-old crow's feet, and that's why she scores a lofty number 16 on the countdown. Withdrawn is the man living far from Narima Square. Withdrawn is the man surrounded by the crashing sea. Withdrawn is the man who lives in a hole atop the highest mountain. Withdrawn is number 15 on the countdown. Pantyhose Taro. This young boy is dissimilar from the rest of the cast. You couldn't really picture him meshing well with any of our ragtag team. The forgotten victim of Jusenkyo, Pantyhose Taro lives aloof from humanity, in his own private darkness. There is something a little goth about him, a little flamboyant, but overall his personality is as somber as it gets. Living a life of solitude and having been dealt in his life a great wrong, he has every reason to be emotional. But if he is doing a great job not showing us. Wrought with pain and misery, emotions have been frozen dead within him. You will never see this young man shed a tear. Tears are signs of weakness. He is strong enough to quell his raging emotions. And coldly he waits for the day he can reintroduce himself to the world and take out the heathen responsible for his years of torment. Such a far cry from a Ryoga Hibiki or a Tatewaki Kuno. Now it's true when you factor in the manga and the movies, these characters are a dime a dozen. You have Prince Kirin, Prince Toma, Lord Saffron, Rouge Herb, but I choose not to consider all of that. When there's just one, it's okay. And Pantyhose Taro does a good job being that one. His damaged psyche is a mystery for our heroes to try and unravel. Adding to all of this is perhaps the greatest, most unusual Jusenkyo transformation in the whole Ranmaverse. Commonly referred to as his demon form, Pantyhose Taro turns into a Hulk-like creature, which is an unlikely combination of different critters which drown in their cursed spring in unison. What a novel concept! Before the arrival of Pantyhose, all Jusenkyo curses were considered some kind of downgrade. His curse isn't a curse, it is a gift! The Ginsu Knife of Transformations! All his stats from brute force to speed to the power of flight are all maxed out, further differentiating this character from the rest of the bunch. The only downside I can think of with Pantyhose is being affiliated with Happosai. Happosai is a heat vacuum. He'll suck charisma away from you if you stand too close to him, and that knocks old Pantyhose down a few notches. But regardless, he is an incredible, underutilized character in the Ranma universe. When he shows up, you know big things are about to happen. Epic things. Here, we say one final goodbye to Pantyhose Taro. I feel like I have talked about this particular character more than any other. He's appeared in 2 profiles and more top 10s than I care to go back and count. It's the man of pure icy demeanor. It's one half of Koholtz High School's golden pair, Mikado Sanzenin. This young man existed in a 3-episode vacuum early in the 2nd season, right at the tipping point before the animation fell off the cliff, hitting every rock along the way. And thank God he didn't suffer that keen sting, because he and his partner have one of the most fluent, beautifully animated fighting styles of any character in the Ranma 1/2 universe: martial arts figure skating. Unfortunately, his fighting style was also his ball and chain, as once it ran its course, there was little need to use Mikado again. A low-down dirty shame, since there is so much more to this character than fighting style alone. With a voice that sounded like an evil Dr. Tofu, Mikado was the skeeziest, perviest, well, maybe not the perviest, and most flamboyant character in the whole series. His obsession for kissing pretty ladies could have lent itself well to the series, especially since he is forever zoned on Akane Tendo to be his number 100. I think they could have played with the many creepy things he does behind closed doors. Without Mikado, we'd have no Attack of 100 Foes, no Dance of Death, no Goodbye World! And of course, the bizarre father-daughter relationship with his obnoxious female cohort, Azusa Shiratori, was a great running gag. A gag which literally put they in their own little bubble within the series. Mikado, in my mind, is a bit of a rare case. I think it's great that he had such a memorable showing. I think it unfortunate he never appeared again, but maybe it's a good thing, for if he did, in that new animation style, it wouldn't be the same. Quite frankly, the series was no longer capable of keeping up with him. It's blades of steel and sex appeal. It's Mikado Sanzenin! Also a really fun name to say. Number 14 on the list. Now, will Azusa Shiratori be showing up on this list? Stay tuned! When I first saw Ranma 1/2 the movie 1, I had just finished watching season 1 of the series. A lot of characters popped up in that opening scene, including a lot I hadn't met yet. Ukyo Kuonji, Tsubasa Kurenai. The one who gave me the biggest jolt was this man. Presuming you don't already know who he is, we can gather a lot from this split-second introduction. He certainly don't look like anyone else from the series. He kinda looks like Arnold Schwarzenegger, only Hawaiian, and he's brandishing a hair clip like a weapon. And he's very happy. If I only knew. The more one learns about Principal Kuno, the more random his character gets. What sort of idea is this character? He's the new principal of Furinken High. He hates his students. He wants to cut their hair. He is so Hawaiian he turns everything around him into Hawaii like some kind of Borg. That's not enough? He's also Tatewaki Kuno's father. Principal Kuno is such a random smattering of weird ideas. To me, it's like a second grader could have written this character. But in a roundabout way, that's kinda what makes him work. Here's a man who has gone completely off the rails. It makes sense there's no rhyme or reason to him. I find it refreshing for one of Ranma's worst enemies to not only be an adult, but an important authority figure in his life. While it's true Urasa Yatsura did this first with Onsen Mark, the difference is Principal Kuno is no straight man. He is diabolical. He is the cause of the problem, not the innocent comedic foil just trying to do his job. And Principal Kuno need not motive to his crimes. He can do it all for the sake of madness. Like another character we know, Master Happosai. Mahalo, Principal Kuno, for once in a while giving us a break from Master Happosai. This Terminator/Ace Ventura experiment was an experiment gone right. And that's why he luaus his way to the lucky number 13 spot. This young man is a strange case at best. Dr. Tofu could be considered one of the main players of Season 1, but for whatever reason slipped off the face of the earth in subsequent seasons. Nonetheless, Dr. Tofu got his time in when the show was at its best. He is a much-needed straight man in a crowd of goofballs, and his innocent schoolboy crush on Kasumi Tendo gives him the vibe of the lovable loser, one whom we love to cheer on. When I look at Dr. Tofu, I remember a simpler, slower version of Ranma 1/2, where stories played out like soap operas, where we got a good look at the characters' psyches, and where a problem generally did not get solved in a measly half hour. A truly unique character, in every way, shape, and form. A man who adds a hint of intelligence to Ranma 1/2's ballet of brutality. It's Dr. Tofu, number 12 on the list. You can call her one of many things. Dolt, airhead, simpleton, but I call her number 11 on the countdown. It's Kasumi Tendo. Kasumi is yet another one of those characters butchered by the shift from drama to cartoony action. She went from a strong matriarchal figure, central to many a plot, to a daft, empty-headed background character too nice for her own good. My fandom resides with the Kasumi of old, the happy homemaker who takes care of her family in the wake of her mother's death. The one intertwined with Dr. Tofu, possibly so engrossed in her duty to realize this man could be the key to her happiness. She is selfless and honor-bound to a degree what eclipses even that of Ranma Saotome himself. You don't see much of Kasumi's strength in the later seasons, but she still carries with her that unique moxie. Yeah, she is nice to the utmost fault, and comes across as a gullible dumbbell, but there's just something in the way she distances herself from her zany friends and family, the way she chooses not to get involved in the silliness. It's like she's saying, I'm way too good for this. Of course, she would never think that way. She would never say that out loud. It's just the truth. She is too good for this. And to me, that's a glimmer of that Kasumi of the past shining through. She is staying put because her slight body is incapable of jumping so many sharks. In the face of the nonsensical, she is the lone beacon of light. Kasumi Tendo stands proud at number 11.